Is this Lakers roster than it was a season ago because of the depth that they were able to add?
It's actually dramatically better and improved and younger, more skilled, more talented. And how about this? Lakers cover all of the bases you want in pro sports. They have a storied franchise with superstars, LeBron and AD. They've built from within. Players like Kuzma, Caruso, and THT so far in the preseason. And then they can acquire top-level free agents. So that with Montrezl Harrell and Schroeder. So the Lakers cover all of the bases, and they're the clear-cut favorite in my opinion.
Yeah, what'll be interesting to watch here between now and early next week, Kyle Kuzma's up for his rookie contract extension. That deadline's Monday. And so if he doesn't agree to an extension, then he's playing the season without it, could become a restricted free agent next year. You know, that's a player who, this is an important year for him. You saw him really grow last year. You know, Doris Burke made a great point on my podcast the other day. You saw him learn what a good shot and a bad shot was because he was on a team where the games mattered. But I think watching those Kuzma talks in the next few days will be interesting.
All right, Jay, well, we're always going to talk about what we expect from LeBron and the Lakers, but what is the next phase of this conversation for him and his legacy? Because he's trying to add another championship, go back-to-back with the Lakers. That's what he went to L.A. for.
Jay Rose and I are about to get in another heated debate about who's the GOAT, who's the greatest of all time, Jay Rose. You know what's happening? Look, barring injury, Jay Rose, they're going to win their second. They're going to repeat. It just, barring injury to LeBron James, it just feels like, you know, when I write down all the names on a piece of paper, I'm like, damn, they signed KCP back. Wow, they got Kyle Kuzma. Man, they got Dennis Schroeder. Man, they got Montrezl Harrell. Man, they got Marcus Gasol. I'm like, well, man, they got Wesley Matthews? Hold on a second. And then I'm watching the preseason games, and I'm like, Taylor Horton-Tucker's putting in work like that? I'm like, how deep is this team? They're exponentially better than every other team in the National Basketball Association. You can write it down. And LeBron James, less is more. He led the league last year in assists. I think we're going to see the same of LeBron, just his ability as a facilitator to make the game easier for everybody. He can still put his foot on the gas when he has to, but I think we're going to see LeBron have another phenomenal year at facilitating and making the game as simplistic as possible.
Does that mean that they're your pick too, Jalen?
Absolutely, no question about it. Head and shoulders. And the thing is, LeBron can actually pace himself. It's a 72-game season. He just came out of the bubble. They have so much depth that Jay and I just talked about. And Woj just mentioned that so many players have things to play for, incentives as well, including Kuzma. So they're going to be eager to play those minutes and put up big numbers.
All right, well, he's played over 1,500 games. Over 60,000 minutes. So you're right. Pacing himself might be okay this season if he can with some of those guys and the depth that they've added around him. All right, you see this crew right here. I believe Jay Will's going to join us.
Survey is out. It's got some spice to it this year, guys. 81% of the GMs picked the Lakers to win the title again, which is not an unusual pick. But it's interesting that only the 2018 and 2019 Warriors had more consensus than that. It is a window into how dominant other teams consider the Lakers right now. The GMs also picked Giannis to be the MVP, which trends against, actually, what most media surveys have said. James Harden beat out LeBron for, quote, player who forces opposing coaches to make the most adjustments. Chris Paul won out over Drew Holiday as the player switching teams who would have the biggest impact. And Miami's Eric Spoelstra named the NBA's best coach over Greg Popovich and Nick Nurse. And then this is interesting. The GMs still consider Steph Curry the best point guard in the NBA, but by a lot less. He only got 30% of the vote this year compared to 90% of the vote the year before. Damian Lillard finished second to him this year. Paul, if you had to pick one guy, you cannot hedge here. You have to vote for one guy like the GMs did. Who were you picking?
Originally, I said Luka Doncic, but if LeBron's the best player and he played point guard, how is he not the best point guard in the league? He led the league in assists. I mean,
won the finals.
I forgot LeBron just went to point guard, by the way, and he's clearly the best point guard in the league.
Okay, this survey's skewed here. Let me just first say this.
What do you mean skewed?
It's skewed is in the sense of, like, you just can't just add the best player in the game, the finals MVP that led the league in assists, like, and then say he's 11%. So, like, are they considering him a real point guard, or they're just saying?
I mean,
that doesn't even make sense.
He was available in the point guard spot for the All-Star game and All-NBA this year.
But if he's the best player on this list, but they're talking about when he plays, This is
He's
stupid.
the fifth point.
This is
best
stupid.
point guard.
This is dumb.
Hey, this is like the year Bill Russell won MVP and wasn't even in the first team All-NBA.
Oh, yeah, that's the type of still like, wait. I know this is not a LeBron James, like, this is not, we're not like talking about that. We're just like, it doesn't make sense.
I get it.
And like Steph Curry, and I said it on the broadcast, like Steph Curry has to reclaim his title as the best point guard. Like when LeBron James got hurt and Kawhi.
You just want Warriors fans.
No, they hate me anyway, so who gives a damn? But this is what I'm saying. When Bron got hurt and Kawhi won the championship and won the finals MVP, they were like, Kawhi is the best player on the planet. Giannis just won the MVP. Bron is probably the third or fourth. You have to show up every single year. Now, he might be the greatest shooter ever, right? Like he will go down as that, but you have to reclaim your title every single year.
Yeah.
And Dame Lillard did some things last year from that point guard spot.
This is just like boxing. When you don't fight for a year, you get stripped of your title, and you got to go back and fight for it again.
Thank you.
It's the same difference. Now, we know how amazing Steph Curry is, Dame Lillard. They're amazing, but you got to reclaim that. Dame Lillard has some phenomenal games. But if LeBron is a point guard, he has to be the best point guard.
Yeah, led the league in assists. Oh, whatever. Who cares?
DM survey, always fun. Up next, we take an in-depth look at investigating allegations made against LA Clippers team and consultant Jerry West involving the free agency recruitment of Kawhi Leonard in 2019. Johnny Wilkes, a man who claims to be best friends with Kawhi's uncle Dennis Robertson,
Not anymore.
filed a lawsuit in LA County Superior Court against West and the Clippers, alleging that the team consultant owes him $2.5 million in an oral agreement made for helping the Clippers sign Kawhi Leonard. The Clippers issued the following statement, quote, the lawsuit filed by Johnny Wilkes is replete with inaccuracies and the allegations are baseless. The Clippers fully cooperating with the NBA in its investigation, which is standard when these types of allegations are made. They are providing the NBA with evidence that the allegations are false. And Kawhi Leonard himself had this to say after last night's game.
How well do you know Johnny Wilkes, and did he play any role in your recruitment to this team, your decision to join this team in 2019?
Not at all. That has nothing to do with me. You know, I'm from LA, and you know, I grew up here my whole life, and out here, you know, people try to, you know, find any way to get some money. So it probably won't be the last. I know a lot of people out here.
Richard, this is not college recruiting, right? I mean, we don't usually see runners in the NBA, which is basically what this guy is alleging he was.
It's weird because you want to say, okay, was this introduction done during the Toronto, when he was in Toronto, before free agency? That would be the only thing. Like, hey, I'm going to connect you. I'm going to do all of these things. But if it wasn't done during that, like, time period, there's nothing illegal here. This is professional sports. This is why it's done this way. No one cares.
First of all,
this is an LA guy. Tell him.
He don't got nothing signed from Jerry West. Like, look, hey, if I get you Kawhi 2.5, then this doesn't have any legs to me. It sounds like an AAU deal. Yeah. You know, like if you want my son or my nephew to come play with you, then it costs this money. That goes on an AAU. I know firsthand.
Producer Danny literally just said in Richard's IFB, Richard, how much did you get?
I got zero. I wasn't that good. See, like Paul was like #1 player coming out as a sophomore and as a junior. And he was top 10 everywhere.
You know what I got coming? I got a suit jacket. Just because that was the dress uniform with a clip-on tie.
Yeah,
so that's what I got.
Yeah, Arizona, I didn't get anything.
Here's what I would say from an outsider's. I obviously was not on the phone with Jerry West or any of these people. I do not know what happened. I will look forward to the results of the investigation. But from an outsider's perspective, if they knew they could, quote, get Kawhi for $2.5 million,
they would have paid double that.
They would not have given up all of those draft picks for Paul George.
Yeah.
Right? Think about the price that they paid for Kawhi Leonard. We know the price they paid for Kawhi Leonard. It was a trade deal to the Oklahoma City Thunder that gave them their best young player and picks for the rest of eternity.
Man.
If all that they were going to get was, oh, this guy will get him for you, man, that would have been getting off late.
And then they have the voicemail as like evidence of Jerry West, and it's like I listened to it. There's nothing there. It's saying, hey, thank you. Like, we appreciate it. And, you know, he might have said a comment about the Lakers, which was true at the time, right? I'm not going to repeat, you know, the show that he was saying that the Lakers were, which was true. But there was nothing in that voicemail. So it's like, here's evidence of, like, him calling me and saying thank you. That's not evidence of $2.5 million. And so, you know, maybe there's more out there.
Let me ask you, so let's just say there's some legs to this, and, you know, he's right on what he's saying. Okay, the NBA investigates. Okay, so what happens now? The trade is null and void?
No. What they do is
they fine you.
Remember Joe Smith?
You get a huge fine.
Remember Joe Smith? Where he had that kind of under-the-table contract and fire his agent. They could penalize him, take away draft picks, take away all that stuff. So that's the penalty. Now, that was hard for Minnesota because Minnesota with KG and all them, they weren't a free agent destination, so they really had to do it via draft picks. The Clippers, if they were to lose a couple of draft picks, and it would probably be after the draft picks that they were that the OKC got. So it really put them back like 5 or 6 years with draft picks, which could be detrimental.
It is funny to see this phone call paraded around because it doesn't actually prove the allegations involved, but also it's sort of holding up like, oh, look what Jerry West said about the Lakers. Well, Jerry West split from the Lakers is very well documented and well publicized.
And he wasn't lying. He wasn't lying at the time.
That is something. That is a matter of opinion. But I will just say that there's no scandal in the fact that Jerry West doesn't have the nicest thing to say about the Lakers these days. That is, again, a split that's been